Good afternoon, everybody. It is blazing hot up here. It is so hot up here. It's been hot up here now for 4 or 5 days, and I mean it is hot, and it is hot, and it is dry. But at least it's breezy out, and but it's hot, and we still got full fire bans up here, and northeastern Ontario, full fire ban, and still got fires burning. But anyway, I'm into a down day now, thank God, because I really didn't want to work in the scorching hot weather anyway. So what I'm doing today, I'm working on this bush hog. So I pressure washed this bush hog today, and I brought it in the garage here in the shop, and I'm going to give it a paint job. And so I thought, before I run up to the hardware store and blast away 30 bucks or whatever, I went through my paint collection and I go, oh, luckily I have some rust coat, some red, International Red, and that's the color the bush hog's getting painted. International Red. I found it in the shed from when I moved up here, and it's still good. I go, perfect, because paint now is ridiculously expensive. Rust-Oleum and what the hell, Tremclad, huge money now, huge money for a liter of paint. So anyway, I brought this in here, I pressure sprayed. Okay, and here's what I have to say about bush hog products. If this bush hog is any representation of how bush hog builds a product down in Selma, Alabama, USA, top notch. Absolute top notch. When I went looking for a rotary cutter, and this rotary cutter I bought around the time I bought my wood chipper, probably when I bought my first house, 1996. So because I had a little bit of land there, so I had a tractor and I bought a new rotary cutter. And I did a bunch of homework on the rotary cutters. And the main reason I went to bush hog was not only did bush hog have a stellar reputation, I mean, it's like Ski-Doo. When somebody says, I've got a Ski-Doo, well, that's how much name bush hogging applies to the market. Somebody may have a Polaris, they may have a Yamaha, but they'll tell you, oh, I got a Ski-Doo in the shed, because Ski-Doo basically pioneered all the snowcraft. Man, they blazed the way. And to me, bush hog did the same thing. When somebody tells you, oh, I got a bush hog for the back of the tractor, that's just that generic name that they've adopted, and it comes from bush hog products. Whether these guys were the first in innovation for rotary cutters, I don't know, but I just know that this is a true bush hog, and it is as tough as nails. And when I bought this thing new, I compared, first thing, the gauge of steel on the machine when I bought it. On the deck, the gauge of steel, and it was a heavier product, and that's one reason I bought it. And I gotta show you guys these anyway. I'll show you this in a second, right here. So it was heavier gauge steel, but the gearbox that was on this rotary cutter, this bush hog, by far superseded at the time anything that was made out there. This gearbox was at least 30% bigger than any other rotary cutter that I looked at. I mean, I looked at John Deere, I looked at everything out there, and bush hog, the cream rose to the top as far as I'm concerned. And this machine has done a tremendous amount of work for me over the years. It really has. It's done nothing for the last 3 years, so that's why I'm going to spruce it up a little bit. And I'm going to cut my trails in the back bush with it a little bit, knock down some of the grass that I planted last year and some of the weeds. So that's why it's in here. But back to this bush hog squealer. So when I went shopping, I wanted something that was really, really good. And I can tell you, this machine here, I changed the oil in it a couple times over the years, but nothing excessive, and I made sure it had clean oil. Unlike some of the small engines that I neglected, I actually did change the oil in this gearbox. Heavy duty, 80, 90 gear I think they put in there. And so that was done. And it's got grease fittings on your drive shafts. And this machine here, of course, for a lot of years was stored inside. A couple of years it wasn't. It was outside, which I hated. But anyway, this has been oil sprayed, this deck too. Maybe not in the last few years, but from new, this bush hog has been oil sprayed underneath. I would lift it up with a front end loader tractor or skid steer, whatever, for years, and I would just have it hanging and I would just spray it. So that definitely helped. But it has held up nice over the years. Now, I'll show you something else. On almost every single piece of equipment that I bought, I've got the original brochures. And I'll give you a couple specs. Now there's the Razorback series from Bush Hog. That is a bit cheaper series. That's the original Razorback series from Bush Hog. Probably a good machine, but that's not what I got. So I've got the original Bush Hog squealer line, and right there, and it just gives you all the specs on it. This one here happens to be the SQ600. This is a 60-inch rotary cutter, and you go down your specs. So the S60-inch, and and the weight of it, 522 pounds. So this squealer weighs 522 pounds, and nothing excites me more than good quality built North American equipment. I can't help it. Like, these guys build good shit, and what can you say? There's nothing to critique here, but anyway, it's in the shop because if you look, it's starting to rust down here, just a little bit of rust, the paint's coming off, and you can see it's really no longer the red Bush Hog squealer it was. It's kind of more like a pink squealer. Really, like a pink squealer is what it is. It's not even red. So we're going to get rid of this pink squealer. I power washed it. I'm going to brush it off a little bit. I'm going to wipe off some of the grease that I've made drip down here, and then I'm going to get at her and paint it up a little bit and do a few things to it. And now just barely flattening the top of this wheel on here, on this machine here. And if you look at these rotary cutters, this Bush Hog, it's got you can vary your height by about 12 inches back here. So you can raise that tail wheel up and down on that machine. Full grease fitting on the tail wheel. Full grease fitting on the spindle in here on this bolster here for the swivel portion of the tail wheel. And all that stuff makes sense, and that's why they make such a good product. Everything's greasable. Everything's greasable on this. It's adjustable. Now, one thing I added to this machine though, I added this conveyor belt in the back. It has all the holes in the back, if you guys can see. It's got all the holes in the back for whether it be a chain guard or a rubber guard. I can't remember. And to tell you the truth, I don't know why there was no guard on the back of this machine when I bought it. Maybe I didn't even know any better back then. I have no idea, but I would have thought that this would have came with some sort of chain guard, or maybe it was optional. Maybe I just said, forget it, because the chain guard that wraps around the back, you know, it might have been $100 or $150. And back then I was younger. I probably didn't have much money because I bought my first house. So I probably said, forget it. That would be me. I'll just make my own. So anyway, I put a rubber conveyor belt around here. And as you guys can tell by looking at it, she's eating away. Look, it's gone. The full width of this strap used to be hang down quite a bit. It's gone. It's burned away. It's completely shredded on there. And you can just see how much of it is gone. It's wore away over the years. But this cutter has held up good. So I'm going to get to work on it. And I'll open up some paint. We'll do a little cleaning and painting on this. All right, check this out too. I don't know. painting must have gotten into me in the last couple of days, because here's what I did yesterday, and it's way overdue. Have a look. There she be. Finally. Got the garage doors all painted up. So I figured I might as well keep on going. Besides that, what are you going to do on a raging hot day? Really, like today. Drink beer and fall down on the couch. So yeah, good day to be in the shop. That's what's nice about having this shop actually. Although it's not insulated, you're out of that hot sun. We're breathing new life into this thing. Now I'm not going to keep you guys on video here to watch paint dry. So, but look at that red. Oh my God, it's taking it from pink, the pink squealer, back to the original red squealer. I'm going to keep painting on this thing. And when I'm done painting and everything's done, I'll grease it. I'm going to put a little bit of hours in this. And then we're going to put it on the L2501. And we'll take it back in the bush. Deer fly mecca back there. Let me tell you. You step in the bush right now and it's thick with deer flies. Not so much mosquitoes, no black flies hardly at all now. But the deer flies are insane in this hot weather. So, we'll get back to this and I'll work on this for a bit. All right, I got a little overzealous here. I should have taken the strap off earlier. There you go. That's over 20 years of use, 25 years of use on that rubber right there. And she shredded her. Still held pretty good though. And what that rubber was, that black rubber was right there, that is skirting in a foundry for your conveyor belts. That's all your conveyor belt skirting. You know, your skirting that keeps your sand and your aggregate and everything from spilling off your belt. You raise and lower your rubber skirting up and down in your conveyor belt to minimize your spillage off your conveyor belt. That's what that's from. So, all that stuff used to be available for nothing when I worked in heavy industry. All freebies. And that one bolt is in for some torture. This one here is a bit tight. And that's the end of that. Walter zip cut. Yeah, I should have had this done before I got in here and started painting, but sometimes I get a bit randy. What would be nice for this bush hog would be some brand new squealer bush hog decals would be nice. To take off all those old decals and put new ones on. That would be nice. And maybe I can get them. Because once you paint this whole thing, paint the black framework and everything, kind of nice to have decals on it, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I can get some. But the red is coming nicely. Looking good. Okay, it's fan time over there. It's warm in here, so I cranked up the fan. But it is coming nice. This is pretty damn close to the actual color of this bush hog when I bought it. Actually, this international red. That's kind of how bright it was when I bought this machine. That would be... And it just goes to show you, if you buy good quality products 2.5 decades later, and you somewhat take care of them, look what you end up with. This machine is not rotten, and I've cut a lot of brush with this. Oh, and this machine I think is only meant for brush 1 inch to 1.25 inches, I think, somewhere around there. This isn't an extreme duty rotary cutter bush hog. This is more of a lighter duty, but still well built with a good gearbox. This is not the most extreme brush cutting machine out there. And probably hence that's why it's lasted me so long. I've cut lots with it, but I've always taken it easy. This machine was used mostly for open pasture fields, and some brush, I cut brush over 1 inch, I can tell you that. And I didn't like it, but on some jobs I had to. But I was always picky and choosy what I cut with this machine. I never overworked this thing, like anything. All right, you guys, it's winding down. It's the next day here, and I've been working on this. Well, it's coming out pretty good. Have a look at that thing. All the black framework is painted. I'm touching up all the bolt heads with aluminum paint. All the bolts that might have been dirty or black or anything, I've touched all that up. And I'm just working on a little bit of detailing now. I priced a set of decals for this thing. It ain't happening, at least not right now. 48 bucks US for a set of decals for this, and it's not worth it to me. It's not worth the 50 bucks US and then to ship them up here and everything else. So maybe I can get somebody to make some aftermarket ones for this. I don't know yet, but I really would like to have some new decals. I left all the original warning stuff on there. I don't know why I did. I just left it there. So that's what we're working on now, but better yet, have a look outside. Finally, we got thunderstorms rolling in. They're calling for 1 to 2 inches of rain today. And it already rained quite heavy. Now she's opening up again out there, which is good. It's good for us up here. It's good for the forest fires, and just good for everything. We need that rain. We need a rain every week and a half up here would be nice. I tracked down the drive shaft for this thing. Had to do a little bit of looking for that since I moved. I slipped that on there. And like I said, I detailed all the bolt heads. All your framework I painted black in there. And it actually come out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. And like I said, that's kind of what it looked like when it was new. So I'm just doing a little bit of touching up in the back end here. The rear wheel should have been white, but I painted it aluminum silver, the same as the bolt heads, because that's what I had, and I wasn't going to go buy another liter of paint. Forget it. So right there, rear wheel is now aluminum silver versus white. No big deal. Nobody really cares. And that's where we are today. Actually, I kind of like doing these fun little projects here. I can honestly say working in the shop. And another thing I got going on this week too that I haven't mentioned yet. A good customer of mine, I've got to know him pretty well, pretty good guy. Him and his woman designed me a website. So I've never had a website. I wouldn't even have put a website out, but they know the computer, and they said, why don't you throw a website out? Why don't we build you a website, Mike, and just put it out there? You got nothing to lose. I thought, well, because I don't even know how to build a website, and I'm not even really interested that much in computers. Only for hunting for heavy equipment and snowmobiles and guns and ATVs. Then you can really perk me up on the computer. But other than that, I'm not really interested in anything on there. And YouTube videos. So they built me a website. northeasterndirt.ca. .ca being a Canadian website. northeasterndirt.ca. You'll see my website that just got put out there. And it is linked to YouTube too. So it's just a basic generic GoDaddy website that these guys designed and built for me and implemented it for me. And I own the domain name, of course. I paid for that. And the cost wasn't ridiculously high really either, because these guys did it for me really for a trade-off. It's kind of free, but there's a bit of trade going on. So anyway, they did me right, and it's out there. So you can see it. I don't know how much work it's even going to generate. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Never had a website. So hopefully it does good. Well, I don't think it can do me any harm. So that's what we're up to today. Just touching up in the shop, finishing up this little job. And once this paint dries on this, and once I get this complete, which is almost complete now, I'll shoot another vid. We're gonna lift this thing up with that L2501. We're gonna chain this thing up, and we're gonna lift her up in the air, and I'm gonna clean the underneath of this, because I don't remember what it's like underneath there. There's probably gonna be some dry grass and stuff, but I know I have oiled it a couple times. So we're gonna completely clean the outside of this, the underneath of this outside. And then we're gonna use some of that dripless amber rust proofing on there, and get it ready for a good pass through the bush is what's gonna happen. And that's about it. I'm pretty damn lucky, because I actually had all this leftover paint. Like I said, I went into a moving box, plastic folding moving box. I opened it up from when I moved here, and I actually probably have at least 15 cans of paint in there from restoring tractors and fooling around with vintage equipment, old iron, which I have done over the years. I got all kinds of leftover paint, and I'm so glad that I do have it, because it's so pricey. So anyway, I'll finish working on this, you guys, because you look outside now, she's raining steady out there. Beautiful, love it. +2 now, the garage doors are all painted out there, so that rain is not soaking into that wood the way it was, so that'll help preserve those doors. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Just another little shop project here, and I do like it, working in the shop like this when it's quiet, when it's rainy, or when it's blistering hot out there like it was yesterday. It's supposed to go down to 18, 19 degrees today. Beautiful. I hear the thunder. It's okay, you guys. Thanks for tuning in and joining me on this paint job on this bush hog squealer. All right, thanks. See you later.